This is Sam Heughan. Pour yourself a wee dram and settle in. This is the Cask Chasers podcast. Easy for you to say. Hi guys.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
What an awesome studio you guys have.
Thanks. It's my kitchen.
It's one of many studios, not kitchens.
This is similar to my setup here, guys. I just want to say I'm in Malibu and there's the ocean, obviously, and I hope that sound is okay.
No, it's
I
perfect.
hate the sound of the ocean, so if you could turn
It's
that
awful,
down.
isn't it? Yeah. So I asked them to tone it down a bit, but
Appreciate that.
It adds something. It adds a little bit of something we couldn't have brought to the table, and that's the sound of
yeah.
ocean.
That's extra. Right. That's extra.
Thank you.
So considerate.
Yeah, it's thoughtful.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for doing this with us. We really appreciate it. You know, our whiskey journey is, brought us to a point where we've tried a lot of different things, and we had the opportunity to have the first batch here and loved it, and we knew we had to get you on. So we just thank you, and just want to real quick introduce the women that make it work in the back. Our wives, my wife Dana.
Oh, hi.
Sam,
How's
how
it
are
going?
you?
The whole team.
Good to meet you.
What a
Nice to meet
team.
you.
And Christina.
That's my wife's. My wife's. I only have one of them.
Do you lose track of?
We'll never speak of it again.
Yeah.
You probably know this, and hopefully we can get into it. The whiskey community is a artistic, very artsy, very work ethic, but, close community of people that really want to make a good thing and give it to a population. So there's this level of, pop culture with it, specifically recently. Yeah.
It's interesting, but I love your show. I've listened to a few or listened to sections of them, and I think it's great. It is, as you say, it's booming right now, and I think is accessible as well. People maybe in the old times, I think whiskey was kind of reserved for elderly men, right? And it wasn't very accessible. And now I think there's all this great stuff happening, especially in the US as well. There's some incredible stuff happening. So it feels vibrant and young. And I hope that, I hope it continues. You guys are doing great.
Us too.
Appreciate that.
So, just to get started, if we want, before we get started, rather, Aaron, do you want to do?
Formal intros?
So what? Yeah,
This is Aaron, and this is Bobby, by the way.
Hi.
And then I'm Katie.
Hi.
I'm the easiest one to
and
figure
you
out.
are.
I'm drunk. No, I'm not drunk yet.
That's fine. Perfect.
You came to the right spot.
But no, great. Yeah, I think honestly, just great to know to let people know that the whiskey is finally being released again. End of the month.
And this is the third time. This is the third batch, correct? The third release.
It is the second one in the US.
Second US, yeah.
But it is, yes, because we did have a small UK release. But I guess like all these things, it's kind of unique stuff, and we had to let it mature, and we had to. Obviously, we didn't know how well it was going to do it in the first time round. So yeah, we've been sort of chasing our tails, and then I guess a little bit, COVID is really has been slowed everything down. But really happy that it's finally back in America.
Yeah, it was hard to get at first. We had to go to New Jersey to get it, and I don't know if you're familiar with New Jersey, but.
Yeah,
that shows how much we liked
the
it.
mean streets of Jersey.
Yeah, he says.
Yeah, it's the American system is dare I say it, completely crazy. With every state having different laws, and we were all green and new to this, so we were literally working our way through it, and we're very fortunate. We managed to start shipping to, I think, about 25 different states early on. But yeah, it's still a process now. We're still applying to different states and trying to slowly increase, but it takes time. But yes, New Jersey. I've been. I think it's a beautiful place. They sell great whiskey.
Yeah, it's easy to get whiskey
So I've
there.
heard. Everything is legal in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, Sam, tell us a little bit about, and you could ask this a lot, but I want to twist it a little bit, your journey in the world of whiskey. But specifically, I know you're a fan of, small distilleries and the kind of the romanticism behind whiskey itself. Because, and I'll be candid, with celebrity whiskey specifically, you kind of you're trepidatious a little bit. Is this going to be a good product? This is a great product.
Thank you.
Obviously there's a lot of passion, love, and truth put into it. Do you relate that to your journey and what you appreciated in whiskey? And I know you started the London scene, but can you talk a little bit about that and what brought you to this gorgeous whiskey?
Oh, it is Slanger, and cheers to that. I'll have to have a little sip. Yes, so I think you were absolutely right. I think so. I obviously travel a lot and work abroad a lot, and whiskey for me has always been something kind of emotional. Whenever I would have a little dram, wherever it was, wherever South Africa or America or whatever, it always, in a sense, kind of brought me home. It reminded me of Scotland, and I'm a proud Scotsman. And to be honest, working on Outlander, I was approached by a lot of different distilleries to put my name to something, to sort of white label, so to speak, something. And every time I thought about it, I just knew that it had to be right, and I wanted it to be sort of an extension of, I guess, myself, something that I enjoy. And it just didn't feel right to just put my name to anything, which was probably really difficult, because then I realized, well, then I'm going to have to make my own whiskey. So it really was a sort of 2-3 year process of drinking a lot of whiskey, visiting a lot of distilleries, meeting some incredible people all over Scotland, and really deciding on what I wanted my expression to be. And even at one point, we were considering making an American whiskey. Just because it was easier. It's actually easier here at the moment to make a single malt than it is in Scotland. But so I guess, the short story is that I wanted to make something that was accessible, something that I really love. I am extremely passionate about whiskey. And I guess the proof is in the tasting, but it was extremely nerve-wracking when it was finally released, that would people actually enjoy this dram, because it's something that, we went through the whole process of finding the right distiller, the right master blender, then looking at different whiskeys and trying to create something that I really enjoy, and hopefully that other people like the same thing. And whiskey it's so personal, isn't it? Some people just, you love certain things and you hate certain things.
I think it's interesting you said about American whiskeys and the possibility. Your show Outlander, which I don't know if you've heard of, but anyway, have you seen it yet? It's
no. I'm waiting for it to come on to Netflix. Yeah.
So one of the things I love about it is, it's got the magic and everything. It's really cool, but there's a historical piece to it that I really appreciate. And your character actually makes American whiskey. And
one of the first people to do so.
Because Scottish immigrants, Irish immigrants came to the United States and kind of showed us how to do it. And although bootleg, it's kind of a neat piece to that puzzle, watching, Jamie, that character, make whiskey, and no spoilers, but it explodes and all that anyway down the road.
Yeah.
Did you not see it yet?
The disclaimers on this
spoiler.
episode.
But
it's definitely that's definitely one of the reasons why we started exploring doing an American whiskey. It felt like it tied into the show, and obviously, the name Sassenach it does tie into the show. So, but having said that, I didn't want to, just hang my whiskey on the Outlander peg. I wanted it to be something new. And as we were saying about, traditional whiskey and the way people sell whiskeys is very traditional, very old school. And I felt I wanted to make something a bit more accessible, something a bit more, I guess, approachable, for people that don't know whiskey.
That was going to be one of my questions too, because if I've heard correctly, you're a big fan of more of the peated whiskeys, right? That's kind of more your flavor?
Yeah. It's a weird one, because yes, I guess one of my journey of drinking copious amounts of whiskey is that
Our people.
I went down the sort of the peated road, and I couldn't get enough of it. And I went, started off with this sort of Lagavulins, and I'm a good friend of Lefroy and been there many a time. And then, and even the Octomore. Have you ever tried that? I mean, it's
a few times.
It's the far end of the spectrum of peated whiskey, and I don't know. I think my taste buds changed, and I still enjoy a peated whiskey, but it's odd how. Maybe I'm getting old. I don't know, but it changes, and I think I sort of started getting into more sweet whiskey, and then into single grains, and I think that's primarily, why we then ended up with the Sassenach Spirit of Home, because it does have a single grain in it, and I just I love something about the single grain. It's so interesting.
We have a 30-year Invergordon single grain, or no, it's not a blend, right? No,
it's an Invergordon.
It's a grain whiskey.
Yeah,
gorgeous. But it's that grain piece. It's
unique, super unique. Yeah, it's not
a little more depth.
There's also something very romantic about that idea, right? Like if you can capture such a pure element of whatever that spirit is making you experience, or wherever it takes you back to. I mean, that's one of the things that we ask a lot of people about and we talk about on the show a lot. What was it about whiskey that made you want to dive into that journey deeper? And it always, always, always comes back to the fact that it's about savoring experience or savoring time with people. So
it's
really wrapped up in
it is a unique drink, isn't it? I mean, like other drinks, I don't think have that quite that emotional response. A bottle of vodka, people, is always great, but you don't sit and go, let's all just sit and enjoy this. Or the same with a lot of drinks. I think there's something about whiskey, and it really is. It's almost a living drink as well. It has all of that. I guess almost terroir. Like the barrel, but also the location, and when it was laid down, and all that sort of thing. I think it really it's quite magical.
It's poetic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you go to a distillery in Islay, and, the truth is, a lot of their whiskey is not aged in Islay. It's probably a warehouse outside Glasgow or whatever, but there are, barrels there that are reserved, and you can't say that barrel sitting there on the side of, the North Sea is, all that wind and rain and moisture is not being influenced. And I know it is, they don't, much like the house I'm in right now, they don't have air conditioning. They literally, they use the windows, and they open the windows to let the air in, and they close the windows. And I feel I wish I had opened the windows here because it's boiling.
We thought if we'd had you in we have a studio and the AC doesn't work in it.
It's an old building. Yeah, we're working on it.
You'd be sweating. So I'm kind of glad to see you're sweating. Yeah, it makes me feel better.
We've gone about 2 months of recording while just completely sweating and glistening. So we're excited for someone else to be doing it. I mean, no offense, Ben.
I'll sweat for you guys. Yeah.
It's great solidarity. I was just going to say before, we definitely want to get into tasting Sassenach with you. Before we get there, though, I was hoping we could kind of expand on, this topic we're dancing around a little bit, and really capturing, I guess, the essence of Scottish culture. I mean, it seems like so many of the things that you've been involved in and, kind of thrown yourself into since, getting to this level of a platform are just a love affair with Scotland and celebrating so many things about it, whether it's Men in Kilts or the Great Glen Company. So I was hoping you could kind of talk to us a little bit about, what your drive has been with setting those up, because it definitely comes through in the work.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It's, so I was living in London for 12 years and spent a lot of time in America. And when I got Outlander and I went back to shoot, I just fell in love with the country, and my passion for the outdoors and for hiking and for exploring Scotland. And I just really want to celebrate it. And I think, again, going back to, I think in some ways a lot of Scotland is kind of the shortbread tin, traditional kind of twee is what we say, style of presenting Scotland. But Scotland is, vibrant. It has great produce. It has amazing craftsmen. And I just wanted to I guess I have a platform, a great platform to introduce it to the rest of the world. And hence the reason that I do a lot of products, through Great Glen Company. We have our own tartan. We have our own tweed. And we make products that I guess, that I'm proud of, things that I love. And I guess I want to make it accessible. Yeah. I mean, the Sassenach is the outsider, but should be inclusive. It's not, it used to be a derogatory term, but now, I think due to the show, but also the nature of Scotland is quite a forward thinking place. And I think that, I think all are welcome. And through the TV show and the books and everything else that I'm involved in, I'm just trying to share my love of our wee country.
It's almost like Outsiders, the way in.
I mean, it's funny because the bottle's so beautiful, and Aaron's really the bottle chaser, but it stands out. It is an outsider. If you put this on the shelf, it seems like it might be something different, and then you say, "Oh, it's a whiskey." There is elegance there, and that's important.
Even the unicorn on the top here, that was something that I was looking at. And did I hear correctly that this, like, the unicorn was chosen because it's the natural enemy of the lion, which represented Britain?
Because they were fighting for the crown. I get it.
Right?
Is that a sore topic?
Yes. So the whole thing, I think from the whole process, I was completely hands-on, and I think from designing the logo, the unicorn, which is the national animal of Scotland. I mean, so cool. Isn't that ridiculous?
It is
hitting on so many levels.
So perfect. Such a strong, kind of traditionally warrior nation, and we've got this magical creature, but it's
it could gore you.
You don't have to worry about it.
Well, so it is the only animal that can apparently kill a lion, and if you look on the coats of arms, especially the Queen's coat of arms, you've always got the lion and the unicorn representing England and Scotland, and the unicorn has got, if you look closely, got chains around its legs, but they're breaking, so it's breaking these chains. Oh. And I believe only a virgin can subdue a unicorn.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I have not heard that.
Put an ad out.
Not a whiskey virgin.
You don't learn it in public school. That's more.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't have the budget to teach.
I was sick that day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But also the bottle. Yeah, you mentioned this. I wanted something that was. So I was looking at a lot of different influences, and you guys don't know the Harris gin in Scotland. It's I think out of Harris, obviously, but it's a beautiful, beautiful bottle, and it was one of these things. There was a real moment where everyone was collecting the bottles and putting fairy lights in them and sort of putting them on their shelves, and it just made me realize that I think people want something special, and as we are a special edition and probably a premium whiskey, I think I wanted people to really have a keepsake, and I think hopefully the bottle says that. It's almost like a decanter as well.
Yeah.
We initially went for a glass stopper. I went through a whole process of trying to sort of get that made, and it failed a lot in a lot of the heat tests and the travel tests. And eventually we decided to go for cork because I just love cork.
The sound.
Something about it. Yeah. A lot of people use the synthetic cork now, and I just love the real traditional stuff. You can really, when you pull it off, it makes great sound, and you can smell the whiskey on the cork. And I almost feel like that's also something you could just keep. Am I weird? I just wander around with bottle stoppers in my pocket.
It's a husky bottle cork.
Do people not do that?
Yeah.
Wander around. I'm sorry.
Aaron, you've just been a trendsetter.
I wear
I didn't know.
Medallions around my neck.
Yeah.
Just a big.
It's just
I've got a collection. No.
It's just embarrassing when you go to pay for a cup of coffee and you bring out, whiskey.
Do you take these as currency? Yeah. Sir, you need help. That's what you need.
It's contactless.
Yeah, early. Yeah.
All right. So I mean, let's talk about the whiskey itself a little bit for a couple minutes. So first, some pretty good awards. Number one, 2 times double gold at San Francisco World Spirits Competition, gold at the International Spirits Challenge, gold at the Scotch Whisky Masters, and then there's others as well. Those are just sort of like the top 3 that pop up. So I mean, it's good, and like we said before, you see a quote celebrity whiskey, right? And you were talking about how you got approached by different distilleries. Hey, you want to just slap your name on this? And you hear about a celebrity, and you're like, okay, and we'll see what this is like. So when you get one that is produced by someone who is a quote celebrity, and it's pretty friggin' good, it always makes me happy, and it always goes one step further, just as far as respect goes for, the person producing it. And you've already talked about that, but you mind doing just like a little tasting with us real quick? We'll talk about notes or whatever.
And just something we talked about before you jump into it, his point, it takes you from that, he's a celebrity that makes whiskey. You're a whiskey maker. Yeah. And there's people in the industry, well-respected people in the whiskey industry, that see this as you a part of it. So I think that's amazing. I think that you are in that family, in that group, because you made something that is truly good and appreciative. And thank you for that. I think is the whole.
This is too much. No,
that's all you get. That's it.
We're done.
It's done now. Now it's hard.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
No, to be honest, myself and my business partner, Alex Narizi, we called it our baby. Like, we literally have put so much time and effort into this. And it really was, even at the beginning, it was like, I wanted to do a blend. I looked at the market and I was like, you look at the Asian blends, and that was something I was drinking a lot of. I love, the Hibiki or the Kavalan or the Vietnamese whiskey. There's so many great whiskeys out there. And they were just doing this sort of really well balanced whiskey that I thought was accessible, but also, not just, the Johnny Walkers or whatever. But there wasn't a Scottish version of that, really. And so I wanted to make something that was like the Asian blends, but quintessentially Scottish. So that's kind of where we fell on going for a blend. And then I guess in choosing what was in it, I knew that I loved single grain. And then we went for some aged malts to give it that quintessential sort of Scottish, I guess, taste, character. Let's drink it.
Yeah. Let's
okay. Gosh, he's pushy.
Our listeners know when there's silence, that's because we're drinking it, enjoying it.
We're looking at each other like, is it too soon to have more?
Are we alcoholics?
Oh my God, the nose.
I know.
So
the nose is really, to me, that was something that I wanted, I wanted it to deliver on all levels. We looked at a lot of different malts and we played around, but this sort of final version, it felt like it really delivered. It's
like very sweet but refreshing at the same time.
I get almost like a floral honey type note on the nose, which is unusual for a Scotch whiskey.
Right.
You see it a little more in your grain whiskeys, your Scotch grain whiskeys, but like potent to me, that sort of floral honey thing, almost like a honeysuckle.
And
I'd
it's
say
funny too, because we just did an episode on Japanese whiskeys, and we were talking a lot about how that's kind of a hallmark of a lot of what we were tasting. At that point, we had the Nikka coffee grain?
The Nikka coffee grain, which was another grain, whiskey. Yeah.
Boom.
No, I'm a big fan of grain whiskeys too. Grain is complex, and you hit the nail on the head, Sam. There's a little more depth to it, and I think people especially when they think of Scottish whiskey, they kind of overlook the grain aspect. And it's not a big market over there, but it really should be. It's almost like they leave it for the bourbon, and they want to stick to that barley. And I'm like, there's so much more depth if you really, and especially in a good blend, if you do it right. It's complex. Yeah, the nose is gorgeous.
With the single grains, you get some really amazing aged stuff, which is just sitting around, and you can get your hands on it, and it's fantastic. I've been buying quite a lot of 30-year-old. I even for my birthday, I bought myself a 40-year-old single grain. It was a third of the price of what a single malt would be. But I think it is overlooked. So that's a 19-year-old organic grain we've got in there, which has been aged in bourbon. So it does have a lot of that sweetness.
I love the hug that it leaves you with too. As it just kind of follows down at the end of the finish there.
Yeah, not even a taste or the physical feeling.
It's super oily, fatty, and I think it's, Sam, what is this? 46. Yeah, 46. Yeah. So there's definitely depth.
Yeah,
it's a fatty whiskey, which I love. That's my jam.
That's a good thing when we when we say that. People
that is good.
That's where flavor is in food. Fat is flavor, right?
It's a good oily, fatty whiskey, which fatty whiskeys, oily whiskeys, to me lead to a good finish and depth, complexity, holds on a lot of flavor.
And just the way it clings to the top of the Glencairn too, and you get these tiny little trills down. It's almost like it's reluctant to leave.
Oh, I love it.
So we were ready to go. We had the labels printed, the bottles made, and and the whiskey was 43%. And it was like our last tasting, and we were literally the day after, we were sort of good to go on the production, and I couldn't do it. I was like, no, we have to change the strength, and we have to up it to 46. And it cost us a lot of money. We had to redo everything. We had to redo, our labels and everything. But it just, that extra percentage, I just think it holds a lot more flavor, and I don't think the strength of it is off-putting for people. I think it's got a bit of a spice to it, but not a fire. As you say, when you swallow it, when it goes down, it's not like, it's not rocket fuel. It's very smooth.
I think, and people say, I hear it all the time, new whiskey drinkers, they'll use the term smooth, but I think you don't want rough, but you do want texture. You want texture.
You want it to exist. So,
but like silk or velvet, not sandpaper.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the fattiness gives you all that sort of oomph, if you will, that you're looking for.
Is that what I sound like when I say fattiness? Because I'll stop. What? Fattiness, it might be the wrong word.
I don't know what you mean.
Bobby went on a run today, so.
I did.
Have you guys watched that show Alone?
Yes.
I'm obsessed with it right now, and I'm about seven episodes in about 2 days. But I mean, they talk about fat all the time. You need fat to survive. You need fat to live. I think, So
no,
it's going to be my mantra.
I did go on a run today, thinking of you, because then you have a charity. You're in great shape.
The charity. Yeah.
You have a charity that's revolves around. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go on a run. I'm prior military. I can't come on this thing and not represent.
Thank you for your service.
For my service.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
And I have to represent some type of. So I don't know if you can tell, but I've lost.
You look great.
Thank you. I'm done. It's one and go. It's like once.
It's inspirational.
Once every 4 years, whether he needs it or not.
Yeah,
he'll go on a run.
And that's how for my age, that's why I look like this.
Yeah. Let's do a run. We'll do a run together every time we do a race.
I've seen you pick things up and put things down. I'm good. I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm ready for that. But if I'm ever out your way or this way, I'll follow behind you in a car to make sure you're fine. But can we talk about the charity a little bit? Because for you, Sam, Cask Chasers, other than being educational, podcast, and everything we do, a big part of what we are and what we love and what we appreciate is charity. And we do a charity event every year, and it's for different things and various programs, but we always try to give back and show that whiskey isn't just, like you said before, your dad's drink. It's a good drink. It's a community drink. It's metaphorically meant to be drank around a fire and with friends and family, and to do more for the community. You have a charity part, and I think Katie wanted to jump in there a little bit, but I'd like to talk about that a little bit. It's impressive.
It's something that definitely resonated us when we were kind of looking into similarities and things we wanted to talk about with you. So, if you can spend a few minutes kind of talking through My Peak Challenge, how it came to be, what you guys are focused on, we'd love to give a chance to speak to that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, whiskey and fitness, they go hand in hand, right? I think
they don't not go hand in hand.
I told you I ran.
The whiskey was at the end of the run. That's what was good.
That's why you ran faster. Yeah. No, it's My Peak Challenge is a charity fundraiser that I started when I went back to Scotland to shoot Outlander, and it really was kind of an organic thing. With my trainer, we were sort of posting, workouts on social media, and then also, my love of hiking and the outdoors in Scotland. And then I met my business partner, Alex, and he really has helped it grow from, what was, I guess we were raised about 20,000 pounds the first year to now we've raised over 5.5 million for charity. Wow. Each year
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. But it's not us. We provide the platform, but it's our peakers as we call them, and it's the members. And basically, you sign up, you get a workout plan every day, you get a video, you get a food plan. There's a forum. There's yoga. There's mindfulness. There's sort of the whole gambit of sort of creating a healthy lifestyle, a healthy habit. But whilst you're helping yourself, you're helping others, because 50% of all those profits go to charity. It's just great because we get to work with some amazing charity partners, from Bloodwise to Marie Curie to Global Food Banking, to the Environmental Defense Fund. And yeah, each year we try and pick a new charity. So it's been great, you know. And I think the Peakers are just fantastic. So on our forum, they share, you know, their it's a very private place and a very supportive place, and you know, they'll share their highs, their lows, and people's sort of goals, and just the work that they do is incredible, and that they're really sort of unstoppable. So yeah, so cheers to them, because they really are the superheroes in this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
That's
Cheers
awesome.
to them. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
So you talked about there's a food plan for everybody. How much Sassenach whiskey is on the food plan?
Yeah, it's 0 calories.
Completely mandatory. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's daily. In fact, some people say it's too much. It's
Dana,
a bit like the
I disagree.
the wine diet.
Wives.
We got a new food plan.
Wives, we're gonna. You heard it from this guy. We can do that.
But it's interesting because actually, we're going back to like, you know, I'd say a large part of our demographic are female, and I think in a way sometimes women have been written off as not being whiskey drinkers, and I think from having seen, you know, our sales and people sort of saying they enjoy it, you know, women love whiskey, and like, why do we have to serve them something pink or, you know, in a glittery bottle? It's like, no, it's they're the whiskey drinkers.
Excited.
I think Aaron pulled stats, because we love stats for some reason, from the show. What percentage?
Nerds like that.
So yeah,
Of our
and
listeners?
this was random stat that got sent to me from our podcast where we host it.
The podcast fairy who keeps track of all of our notes.
From I don't
stats,
know how
yeah.
the internet machine works.
Yeah.
But it was actually an email sent to me, just an update of our stats, and it highlighted one. And to your point, as far as whiskey drinkers go, and we are a whiskey podcast, our podcast skews 4% more towards female listeners than the average podcast, whatever that is. So, which was actually a surprise to me, because we're constantly talking about how, you know, sort of what we were talking about to begin with, you know, how it's the good old boys are drinking whiskey, or your grandfather or whatever. And it's getting very far away from that, which I really dig.
I think that's why, though, because we always bring that to the forefront of the conversation. I mean, we did a whole Women in Whiskey Month earlier in March, and there are just so many different unique stories to celebrate. And when you kind of peel back the bones of what everybody thinks whiskey might be, it's just community sharing. It's a great experience, and that's something that anybody can relate to. And then when you find out that so many women seem to prefer stronger tasting, cask strength, real punchy in the face types of whiskey, I don't know. I just enjoy those conversations too.
I mean, both our wives. It's these harsher whiskeys, these barrel proofs, these cask strengths, these ryes and stuff. And I'm like, man, I need to take a nap after that
stuff. You're like, what? I can't take that, but they can.
Well, we were on a kind of promoting and everything. We were on an Outlander fan page. Just to give them a little bit of a shout out. Well, they love you to death, man.
I think I heard the stampede of them behind you a minute ago.
That's right.
That
We've got the doors bolted. I'm sure you know how they are. But no, we were talking the other night on Instagram. There were a couple of them there. I think it was at Outlander Chronicles, the Outlander Lounge, and Outlander Obsessed were a couple of them, and they were just on like a Facebook Live thing, just talking about the books, the movie, or the show. But
we're whiskey people.
We are whiskey people, and we were like, oh, you know. And somebody mentioned Sassenach whiskey. I'm not sure exactly how it came up.
Everybody had a bottle.
Everybody had a bottle of Sassenach whiskey.
Right.
I think Bobby chimed in, and then everybody was just talking whiskey, and it was primarily women, and they were just all talking whiskey, really into the conversation, and it was really neat to see.
And only brought you up like 1 or 2 times, maybe, but
per minute.
It's more about the whiskey, but
it's interesting how whiskey brings people together, right?
That's 100%.
It starts people talking, and it can be people from any walk of life, and you just
I mean, here's a scenario. I mean, you know, you went down the acting road and everything, which is amazing, and thank you for that. But we went down this. Here we are coming together to talk about this central, you know, that's in everybody's cupboard, everybody's house, everybody's, you know, whether they're mixing it, which we're fine with, love a good cocktail, or they're pouring it neat or over ice or whatever they're doing, and then it normally leads to a conversation just like this. And that's why I think people ask how that aren't in our whiskey world, how did your podcast get so successful? I mean, we moved fast.
Yeah.
And we said, people like whiskey. And it's that simple.
And people that like whiskey like to talk about it.
They really do. They really do. So much so we spent a ton of money on equipment to talk
your
about
studio.
it.
Yeah. The production value.
It always seems like not quite enough. Something's always working a little bit not the way it's supposed to. But
So I wanted to, and we have notes and everything, and we kind of skipped over it, but I got to know if that's okay.
No.
That's Katie's
permission granted.
Our beautiful director.
Thanks, boss.
Amazing in every way. I've never been super jealous of anyone before, but there's a scene in Men in Kilts, great show. If you're not watching it, it's amazing, where you and Graham are drinking a 25-year Lafroig at Lafroig after you dove through some grain, which is also one of my dreams, but that's a side project, and dug some peat, which is another thing I'd love to do. I want to do it all.
You're really selling it.
What's going on?
He's living my dream is what's happening. Not the acting piece, but the whole everything. I want to dig peat in a field.
In a bog.
There's some guy that digs peat for a living. He's like, I'll trade you right now.
Yeah. It smells real good is what I hear. So
can you talk about that experience? I mean, just because, here's what I'm getting at. I had Koila 15, I think it was the 15 in Isla. No, we were in the Isle of Skye. And on a mountaintop kind of area and drinking it. And something about being there in that experience made it taste better, made it more important. Can you talk about what that was like to just be there and to take such a great whiskey?
I think you've really hit it because, I was saying earlier that I don't drink as much peated whiskey as I used to. But the times I do, normally I'll take a little hip flask when I go hiking in Scotland and if I go up a mountain. There's something about a peated whiskey when you're outdoors, when you're cold, it's wet, you're looking out over the mountains. It tastes, I don't know what it is. It's something about the landscape. And in that moment, we were at Lafroig and we were looking out over the bay. Isla is this incredible little island that produces so much peated whiskey that was really very central to, I guess, the shipping routes over to America. And just to be sitting there drinking something that was laid down, I believe that we were with John Campbell, I think, and his the head distiller there. I think that was laid down when he first started work there, like 25 years ago. It was incredible. They've actually got a 21-year-old special edition, which is so good. I really love. But it was just amazing. And again, it's about the company you're with as well. I'm sure if you're on your own, it tastes great, but to share that shared experience and to be sitting in the bay and having dived into the barley and it's falling out of my boot and it's in my pockets and having seen the whole process and dug peat, which by the way it's really difficult. It's hard work.
It didn't look like it came apart easily.
I mean, I'm sure Bobby could do it. He went for a run this morning, but
it's preparation.
That's for your peat digging.
Yeah. I might put that in my peat challenge now. That might be the next workout.
Peat digging? I like it. Peat digging, but drink a lot of Sassenach. So, I mean, it's
great. What have you been doing? Peat
and Sassenach.
drinking my Sassenach and doing my peat digs. Ridiculous.
I think we're onto a winner here.
Yeah.
New business model.
I love it.
Yeah. I have to say, too, one of the things that I loved about the Men in Kilt series, especially the timing of it, I mean, I started watching that right when my travel itch was at its worst because, pandemic watching. And so to go through and see you and Graham just have all these ridiculous adventures and laugh it up along the way, and I mean, just to go to the places you went to. You guys don't know this about me. I almost went to St. Andrews. Like I was this close. I know.
Why the secrets?
Are you a golfer?
I like to be. My granddad was a pro. And then I forget like what level. It was back in the 30s. This is my dad's dad. And then, he ended up fighting in World War II, came home, did the family thing. But we still have trophies of his that each of my brothers and I have. So that was one piece of it. And then just
it's beautiful. We did the whole tour from London all the way to Edinburgh, all the way up into Skye and back all the way back down. And we met people that in London specifically that have never even been up in that area. So it was a treat, but that's that area whole. I know. You got it. It's amazing.
Different life choices.
It's a different
nothing.
kind of experience, Scotland. I can see the appeal. Yeah.
It is, and it's funny how people actually Americans do. They come over to Scotland and they just drive it. And you guys are used to driving. We're like, oh my God, it's a 2-3 hour drive to get to Oban or wherever, which is delicious whiskey, by the way. But you guys don't think twice about it. You'll just jump in the car and go. It's strange. We just in the UK, I guess we're less mobile or something, but there's so much to Scotland to see, and Men in Kilts, I really wanted to share a lot of the places or the things that I enjoy, and there's a whole side to it that we haven't even explored really, but we did at least get to go to some of the islands, and one of my favorite things to do is go on a ferry. You can get to the islands on ferries, you get to Skye by a ferry if you want, and there's something really magical about it. Sort of you feel like you're exploring and going somewhere
very old world. Yeah.
What do you think the best whiskey to have on a ferry would be?
Oh, wow. Depends if you're driving or not, or if you're driving a ferry.
Wait. No, Sam. There's a driving whiskey and how Scottish
Let's
are
back
you?
up. What's your favorite driving whiskey? No, I'm kidding.
No.
I would never drink and drive.
That's right.
But I would certainly stop somewhere for a wee dram. But no, just mentioning Oban there, I think it's actually a dram that I really enjoy. And Oban is this, little town on the west coast of Scotland. It really is a port that you can get the ferry to. The Isle of Mull, Muck, Rum, Egg, Skye, Harris, Lewis. So it really is a real central location, and there we are. The man's got it himself, and I think it's something about Oban. It feels like it's a very, very clean spirit. There's something about it. It feels very, sort of fresh and light. And damn, I wish I had some. I can see you pouring it now.
So this is the Oban 18. We're easily influenced, and Sam said Oban, so that's right. It's Oban 18. God, it's an amazing whiskey. Yeah.
I haven't had this in years. Actually, my first time trying it was in Walt Disney. So, Aaron, I love the shirt reference.
Yeah, you're welcome.
As part of a whiskey flight at the Rose and Crown pub, I want to say.
That's a thing.
Yeah. So I had Oban, I had Lagavulin, and it's funny, I remember going through and loving it, and my dad was like, I don't think I can handle this jet fuel.
No,
he's
adorable.
That's he passed it over to you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We were in a bar recently with some friends, and we had somebody that was there that wasn't a whiskey drinker, and she wanted to be. She wanted to understand because we were smelling it, nosing it, and just talking about it. She wanted to be a part of it, and we were walking you through. When you meet somebody that's not a whiskey, because I'm sure in your circle there's people that just aren't whiskey people. What is the conversation that you have with them to try to sell? What's your pitch on why try whiskey? Why it's not just something to throw in a shot glass or, douse with Coca-Cola, which is not a bad thing. This episode is brought to you by Coca-Cola. No,
yeah, right.
Is that a lawsuit? I don't know. Anyway,
we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. But no, what is that conversation for you? I mean, how do you? I'll be honest, and for the listeners, the Sassenach is an approachable whiskey. That proof we were just talking about, I know it seems a little higher at 46. It is as approachable and as delicate as it is in a good way.
Easy drinker, an easy drinker.
Again, it goes back to, and I want you to answer that. I'm sorry, we kind of.
Hey, could you answer this question? Yeah. We're going to talk amongst ourselves.
It's really interesting hearing you guys talk about it. I think it's.
I sincerely mean this. I am a grain fan. I like Compass Box, for example, is a great blended whiskey. Right. Yeah. I think people get caught up on age statements. People get caught up on single malt, and that's in your head. And we talk about the emotion, Sam. It's that conversation that, us connecting right now because we're talking about whiskey, and there's an emotion there, but there's a negative psychology too, where people get it in their head that if it's not Kentucky, it's not bourbon. That's going to upset some people. If it's not single malt, it's not Scotch. You know what I mean? And couldn't be farther from the truth. Not that there's not 100%. Great stuff in those categories. Amazing stuff. But you're missing out if you're not approaching a blend because here's what a blend is. A blend is taking I look at it like a chef would. It's taking the best ingredients, bringing it together, and making an amazing dish, and saying, "I use the best ingredients to make this." And that's what a blend is. Yeah,
that's exactly it.
You can have that.
So unique. It's so unique because it is a blend of all these great things. It's like going for a Michelin star meal rather than going to In-N-Out or something. They're both great, right? But you get to go and have something that's been really worked and put together. And I'm not saying it's prissy or it's fussy, but you're going to somewhere where it's been really crafted.
Yeah. So you're back to it. You're talking to a new person. What do you say? How do you make them believe that that's not, hot gasoline or petrol?
Yeah, just whiskey in general, I'd say, right?
Yeah. I would probably, if I could, I would probably, bring them to Scotland, and there's a wee bar. I took my business partner who had never drunk whiskey before in his life, or drank. He didn't drink till I met him, which is, I'm not sure, a good thing. But,
you're inspiring everyone in different ways.
Exactly. To think of it, we've drank with you too. Wait a second.
Wait a minute.
I never drank before today, to be honest. No, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah. Well, I'll take you guys as well. It's this little bar, and we went. It's called the Ben Nevis, and it's got it's a great collection of whiskey. And in the corner was some people that just turned up, which basically called a ceilidh. Like they just got together, started jamming, playing Scottish music, and I started to talk to him about whiskey and tell him, about like the process of making it and all the ingredients to go into it. It's just water. It's just the wood. It's just, all these factors. And just being there, feeling the sort of the life and the energy of Scotland, and it's sort of been almost captured in a bottle. It just, when you start to really taste whiskey and pick it apart and go, what is this? What am I tasting? You start to realize it's this whole world of exciting things to try, and you'll find a whiskey for yourself. You keep trying, you'll find one that you really enjoy.
Absolutely. I love that.
That was good.
I love that. Well, and so to your point, number one, I'm going to tell you that I'm not into whiskey so that you take me to Scotland and take me to a bar.
Brilliant.
But number two, Cask Chasers got started as a group of people coming together physically and talking about whiskey. And obviously COVID and, that sort of went away, but like that was a huge element of it for me. And for like the enjoyment of it is the people you're sharing it with, the memories you're making, the time you're having. And I've heard people, cornerstones in the industry echo that over and over and over again. And to hear you say basically the same thing is, I love it. That's fantastic. So well put.
Yeah. And again, I won't bring their name up now. I'll tell you afterwards as we wrap up. But, there are, like I said before, people in the industry. And this is just more kudos to you and to the listeners who are hesitant, who have met you, people in the industry you've worked with, and who have said he does care. And the whiskey in that bottle is a work of passion, love, and effort. So, and it just tastes good. It's great. We're drinking the Oban right now, and that's who I'm talking about. But no, I'm just kidding.
That's right. Yours is Sassenach's okay too.
Yeah.
But no,
Sam, that's for you. That's true. It's a great whiskey. It's a good whiskey. One of the things we pride ourselves on Cask Chasers, we don't placate. We don't bring whiskeys on we don't care about. We refuse to talk about a whiskey or.
Much like you, we've turned down incredibly lucrative opportunities to just slap our name on things,
I don't know about incredibly lucrative.
Different scales. It's all relative, right?
I don't know. I can be bought.
You guys are going to have to do your own whiskey sometime. No, we also, we're working on other stuff as well, but it's to me, it really is a passion project, and it's something that I did, poured my heart into and a lot of time, and we're self-financed. We're doing this on our own. We didn't have any help, and it's been a real learning curve. But I'm just so glad that people can finally get their hands on it, because it's obviously it's been a wait for it. But I'm excited for people to try it.
Yeah, the first U.S. release was a adventure trying to get a hold of it, and we
sold
did.
out. Sold out. I think in like about 7 minutes. I think we posted online, and then we realized there was like a typo on the website. We went back to change it, and it was pointless changing it because they'd already sold out.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, you hit all the things too. The German issue with the name, and which is odd, and then there was I remember they were like, that's close to our name, and it was't anywhere near their name. But there was a lot of.
We've had some teething problems, and it isn't just plain sailing, but
no, it's thankfully it's here. Go get it. Everyone
Brexit
go get it.
was really difficult for us. We actually started selling in the UK, which meant we could then export to Europe, and we sent off a lot of orders to Europe, and they all got sent back because they literally that day changed the rules. And it was frustrating. But we are working on our next UK European release, which I think will be November, and I think we should be good to export to most European countries. So.
Awesome, fantastic, Sam. We're hitting wrap up here real quick,
Right.
but you can go literally whenever you want. But
What if he just got up and left?
all right, thanks, guys.
Gone.
End
meeting for all.
Before we go, and I mean we would talk to you for hours and hours, but before we go, what would you? Aside from everything we've talked about here, is there anything you'd like to pitch? Anything you'd like to talk about that we haven't hit on? Shout outs, anything like that. I think people more or less know where they can follow you and where they can find you. But just anything at all you'd like to talk about. I always jokingly say your kid's softball team, whatever. But yeah, take it away. Anything you'd like to say that we didn't hit on?
Final parting words and well wishes.
Final parting words. Well, while you pour yourself another large dram, I will say
He just lit a fire, like literally.
I can see this. I'm desperate to join you guys in the studio next time because I want to see what else you've got hidden back there. But
Maryland, if you're ever in
Maryland,
Baltimore,
okay, yeah, Baltimore, okay, yeah, we'll do it next time for sure. SassenachWhisky.com. That's all people need to know. SassenachWhisky.com, I think, is where we will be on sale, and SassenachSpirits.com if you want to be kept up to date. There's all the info there. What states we're available in. Apart from that, I just really appreciate you guys. You're amazing, and I love that you really enjoy it. And keep up the good work. We'll send you some more because you're empty.
That's right.
We
Oh,
ladies
darn.
and gentlemen, we essentially killed a bottle too, which is in the whiskey community is a big deal. And then we'll have a ceremony, and there'll be Viking ships and arrows and fire and all of that.
More fire.
My wife's behind us going, my bottle. It was my bottle.
You gonna put fairy lights in it? I wanna
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Have to,
Sure.
have to. Yeah, cool.
I mean, it's no Harris gin bottle, but I'll put fairy lights in it.
We remember. Yeah, cool.
All right.
Hey Chasers, Aaron here again. I just wanted to thank you for tuning in. Most of our content is actually audio only and not video. This was kind of a special thing, but we hope to be able to offer more video later. If you enjoyed it and you'd like to listen to us a little more, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, basically anywhere where you would listen to a podcast. And we'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the podcast on whatever podcast platform you listen. I'll drop a link down in the bottom of this video so that you can learn more about us. You can follow us on any social media. It's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is all at Cask Chasers. You can also join our Facebook group. Don't forget to check out our website for show notes, Cask Chasers swag, and more. I think that's it for now. But until next time, remember, it's not about finding the perfect dram. It's all in the chase.
You make a classy swig. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Classy swig.
You can trademark that. You can-
Put that on your next release.
Oh,
Button.
my goodness, classy swig.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cask Chasers called this a classy swig.
Or a t-shirt or a hat. or something.
There you go.
Merch
merchant.
shop.
Yeah. I like that. Might be onto something. No, thank you guys. Really, really, I could sit and chat and drink all day.